Good morning/afternoon, everyone. Today, we're diving into the fascinating topic of understanding negative reinforcement and behavior modification. We'll explore what negative reinforcement really means, how it works, and look at some practical examples. We'll also clarify how it's different from punishment, so we can better apply these concepts to improve learning and intervention strategies. I'm excited to share this with you, so let's get started. Negative reinforcement is a learning process where behavior is strengthened because an unpleasant condition or stimulus is removed or avoided. Essentially, when something negative is taken away as a result of a specific action, that action is more likely to happen again in the future. For example, imagine you have a headache and you take painkillers. The pain goes away, which is relieving an unpleasant feeling. Because the painkiller removes that discomfort, you're more likely to reach for painkillers the next time you experience a headache. This is how negative reinforcement increases the frequency of behavior by encouraging actions that help us escape or avoid discomfort. Negative reinforcement works by encouraging a behavior through the removal of an unpleasant stimulus. First, the individual performs a desired behavior, like buckling their seatbelt. Once this happens, an annoying stimulus, such as an alarm sound, stops immediately. This removal of the unpleasant noise acts like a reward, reinforcing behavior and making it more likely that the person will buckle their seatbelt again in the future. Essentially, the behavior is strengthened because it leads to the relief from something unpleasant. Let's look at some examples of negative reinforcement to understand how it works in everyday situations. First, imagine a loud alarm sounding. Pressing a button to turn it off stops the noise, which encourages you to press the button quickly the next time the alarm goes off. The unpleasant sound is removed, so the response is reinforced. Next, think about leaving a noisy room because the noise causes discomfort. By leaving, you avoid that discomfort, which strengthens the habit of removing yourself from noisy environments. Another example is taking medicine when you feel unwell. The medicine relieves your symptoms, so the relief encourages you to take medicine whenever similar symptoms appear. Lastly, completing your homework on time can help avoid a teacher's nagging. Since finishing the homework stops the nagging, this behavior is reinforced, encouraging you to be timely with homework in the future. In each case, the removal of an unpleasant stimulus increases the likelihood of the behavior happening again. Here, we're looking at the difference between negative reinforcement and punishment. Negative reinforcement actually strengthens behavior by taking away something unpleasant. For instance, putting on sunscreen to avoid getting sunburn encourages that behavior because you're removing the negative outcome, sunburn, in response to applying sunscreen. On the other hand, punishment aims to reduce or stop a behavior by adding a negative consequence. A common example is getting a fine for speeding, which discourages the behavior of speeding by introducing an adverse outcome. So, while both involve negative elements, negative reinforcement increases a behavior by removing something bad, and punishment decreases a behavior by adding something undesirable. Let's clear up some common misconceptions about negative reinforcement. First, it's important to understand that negative reinforcement is not the same as punishment. Unlike punishment, which aims to decrease a behavior, negative reinforcement actually increases the likelihood of a behavior occurring. Next, the word negative here doesn't mean something bad or harmful. Instead, it refers to the removal of a stimulus. So, negative reinforcement involves taking something away to encourage a behavior. Because of this, negative reinforcement is often mistakenly confused with punishment. But remember, their effects on behavior are completely opposite. Punishment reduces behavior, while negative reinforcement strengthens it. Finally, negative reinforcement plays a valuable and positive role in learning and behavior change by reinforcing adaptive behaviors. Understanding these key points helps us use negative reinforcement appropriately and effectively. Let's wrap up with the key points from our discussion. First, negative reinforcement involves increasing the likelihood of behavior by removing something unpleasant. It's important to remember that this is different from punishment, which seeks to reduce unwanted behaviors. Negative reinforcement plays a crucial role in learning theory and helps shape behavior in many contexts. When we recognize and apply negative reinforcement appropriately, it can greatly improve the success of behavior strategies across different settings. Finally, understanding this concept allows us to design more effective interventions that encourage positive behavior changes. These takeaways highlight the value of using negative reinforcement thoughtfully in practice.